Good morning to you, sir. How you doing today?
I'm good, Kevin. Good morning to you. Let me first apologize that I missed our interview yesterday. It's a hectic week this week. We got two major pieces of legislation yesterday on the Banking Committee and today on the Armed Services Committee, and I had some senators beating down my door for last-minute consultations. So I apologize for that. Glad to be on with you.
Made for an interesting 4 or 5 minutes of radio. We were just like, okay, where's
I imagine
Senator
you were
Cotton?
tap dancing there for a bit.
It was all right. I know you're busy.
Tap dancers.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. First of all, I'd like to address an issue here. Law enforcement agencies say they were approached by your office about opposing the bipartisan prison reform bill. That's info that comes out from Politico. Maybe you can speak to that. And where are you on the issue of prison reform, and what does need to be reformed there?
So, Kevin, I've long said that we should try to make sure that our prisons are safe, not only for prison guards and other correctional officers, but for prisoners as well. And while they are in prison, we should do everything we can to make sure that they get the kind of rehabilitation services or pastoral care, opportunity to earn a GED or other skill. So when they leave prison, as everyone will eventually, if they're not sentenced to death or life without parole, that they do not commit new crimes, that we reduce our recidivism rate, that we help prisoners get back on their feet when they leave prison and try to get back on a good path in life and be a productive, contributing member of society. Now, I did have some concerns about the House bill on which the House voted yesterday, and fortunately, working with the White House, working with the House sponsor of the bill, we addressed some of those concerns. Most notably, there's a provision that would have required all prisoners to be put in a prison 500 miles or less from their home. In general, I think we should try to keep prisoners as close as we can to their families and their support networks. But in the federal system, we simply don't have that many prisons. We really don't have that many supermax and maximum security prisons, and that would have tied the hands of the Bureau of Prisons when it comes to dealing with hardened drug dealers and MS-13 gang members and multiple violent felons. So I'm glad we addressed that. There's still a few other issues I want to look at, in particular as it relates to how we treat heroin and fentanyl dealers, given the opioid crisis we have in this country. But I hope with a few more tweaks in the Senate that I'll be able to support that legislation. I've worked with law enforcement groups for many years to try to make sure that we don't roll back the gains that we've had in reducing crime over the last 30 years. I'm working with those law enforcement groups as well to try to get to a bill that we can all support.
Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KARN. Gina Haspel in as the new CIA director. Your feelings about her, the director, and, there was a rumor there floating around that you might have been considered for that spot.
I'm very happy that Gina is CIA director, and I'm very happy that I'm representing the people of Arkansas in the United States Senate. Gina is a great CIA officer. She has dedicated her entire life to the CIA. She wanted to join the military, wanted to go to the military academy, but she was graduating from high school at a time they didn't accept women. So she did the next best thing once she learned that the CIA accepted women and they could be out on the front lines around the world. She's only the second case officer to become the director, and I think that's a healthy change because the CIA has lots of talented professionals and scientists and analysts, but the heart of what they do is stealing secrets from our enemies and from terrorist organizations and keeping us safe. And she brings a very welcome perspective to the CIA. She is beloved throughout the agency for the sacrifices she has made in her life, the assignments that she's accepted, even when she knew they were controversial. I was so glad to see Gina sworn in on Monday. I wish that we'd had a little more bipartisan support for her, but she is the director now, and I think she's going to do a great job for the American people.
Kevin Miller along with Senator Tom Cotton on News Radio 102.9 KARN. The U.S. out of the Iran deal. Where are we now with this? Have you heard anything? Is something going to be renegotiated, or is it just a done situation?
Secretary Pompeo gave an important speech on Monday laying out our demands for Iran. These demands are not complicated. They are not difficult. They simply ask the Ayatollahs to behave like the rest of the civilized world. Don't shoot missiles into their neighbors' countries. Don't support terrorism. Don't suppress the rights of their own people. These are things that lots of countries all around the world do with no problem. That's what Iran needs to do. And by withdrawing from the nuclear deal, we have a greater freedom of action, not only to stop their nuclear program, but also to address their campaign of imperial aggression throughout the Middle East, attacking the United States and attacking our allies like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and Israel and so forth.
Kevin Miller along with Senator Tom Cotton, News Radio 102.9 KARN. Senator, also, too, the Farm Bill, that didn't make it through the House. Is there disappointment on your part there as a senator? Is that something that you feel might have benefited Arkansas? Would you have liked to have seen that go through?
So we'll get a bill passed eventually. That vote last week in the House, Kevin, was not about the Farm Bill or its merits.
Explain that if you would.
So there's something called a discharge petition in the House. It allows 218 members to sign their name on a petition and bring any bill up they want. That's a pretty aggressive move in the face of your party's leadership. It's only happened once or twice in the last 20 years, to my knowledge, and it's over immigration. There are some Republicans that want to give a no-strings-attached amnesty to a group of illegal immigrants. I don't think we should do that. I think we should secure our border. I think we should reform our legal immigration system so we're getting in the kind of immigrants we need to work, and then we can look at regularization for people who came here as teenagers or young children and are illegal immigrants still but don't really have any other home. That's the way I would approach it. That's what I supported back in February. But because there's a lot of disagreement on that issue in the House, I think there's some internal divisions. Some Republicans who will ultimately support a farm bill, voted no on it because they didn't have assurances of how they were going to approach the immigration issue. Ultimately, I think that bill will pass the House. We'll probably produce a bill in the Senate as well. I want to make sure that one, our farmers have their interests protected, and two, that we get good reforms to the food stamp program, which makes up 80% of the farm bill.
Senator Tom Cotton, I know you're busy. Thank you for carving out some time again. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Kevin. Take care.
617 News Radio 102.9 KARN. Let's get a look at our headlines. Rob